Welcome back and thanks for tuning in. This is now video 15 for Just Make It, and today I'm going to start the process of putting together a wooden mallet. Now this is going to be the same wood I used for the drawer handles for my acrylic workstation, and it is all wood that I rescued from a glider rocker that was being thrown out. It's actually in pretty good shape, but well, I have more than enough furniture in the house to start off with, and I'm fairly certain it was made out of oak. It's definitely a hardwood. And hardwood is very expensive where I am, and I was just more than happy to be able to take this apart and have all this material for probably quite a few projects to come. Now, there's going to be a bit of a restriction on the size for this mallet and for this particular project, and that's because the thickest piece I have is 3/4 of an inch. So that means when I cut a piece out of it, what I've done here for the handle, it is going to be 3/4 by 3/4, and then of course I took the end piece that's in the chuck right now and I turned it down a little bit on the belt sander, so it was as close to round as I could get, and then I clamped it in here, tried to within reason. I mean, there's obviously, you can see on the right there, a fair amount of run out, but I am trying to keep it at least fairly stable in here, and I'm going to turn it down, and I want it done, as you can see, not quite to round, but I want to keep it as great a diameter as possible so I can hopefully fit it in a die I have. So I want to put threads on this. So I'm going to cut off the end bit that was just done on the belt sander, which is going to be give me, well, fairly round. And at this point, it's a little bit undersized for the die, but I'm pretty sure I can get some threads on this. And this will help when I go to put it into the head of the mallet. I can hopefully screw it in a little bit, as well as glue it so to make it really solid. So that's the plan. It's not going to turn out that way, but that's the plan. So what I'm going to do here now is I've got the round part, like actually rounded down the lathe in the chuck at the moment. So I'm going to turn down the rest of the handle to size. Well, it doesn't really have to be to any particular size as long as it's comfortable in the hand. So I'm going to turn it down to mostly round, and then I'm going to use some 80 grit, and I think it's 120 grit sandpaper just to make it a little bit more smooth. It's definitely going to need a lot more work later on, but at this point I just wanted to get it to something that I can handle without having splinters all over it. And then also, of course, I need to put the threads on that before I go much further. I wanted to see how all that would work. So I'm going to get this to like a nice comfortable point, and then I'm going to set this aside because I have to start working on the rest of this. I'm not going to get to this all today. I actually have this completely built. You're going to see the final clip is going to show you the end product. But this is almost a 10-minute video, and there's still more than half of this project left to go. And I don't like making 20-minute videos. It's just way too much, well, for you guys to sit through all this. And hopefully I'll get this done soon, and we'll definitely have the other video up for next week. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take, this is more pieces of this. I'm going to make the mallet part of this, which is another compromise, out of 3 pieces. But I think this is kind of a blessing in a way. I've been putting a lot of things together with dowels lately. If you've seen the rest of the videos here, I've been making well, the dowel drawers and a bunch of other stuff, and I'm hoping that this little project is going to test and answer a question for me, and that is, how durable are things that are glued together and held together with dowels? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take these 3 pieces, I'm going to square them up because I want the head of the mallet to be square, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand off all that varnish because there's a fair amount of varnish on this, and then by the end of this video I'll have these 3 pieces, once they're cut to size, they will be glued together, and I'm going to clamp them really tightly, make sure that the glue has a good chance to dry, and then I'm going to drill holes for it, and I'm going to use dowels. I've actually ordered some off Amazon, which is kind of surprising. I used to just get them from the hardware store, but there was a pack of ones I use for crafts, and they're the same diameter as the ones I use already, so I figured it was cheaper, and it actually came in less than a day, so it was kind of nice. and I'm going to use those. I'm going to give them a try. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to trim off just the edge. You can see here, just the last little bit, just so there's less work that I need to do to sand these. And then this also assume like there's a little bit of a round on the edge of those. This makes them perfectly square, which is another thing I have to decide about this. And definitely comments in the comment section below as to your thoughts on this. I am going to like this is going to be square, and as you can see, all the edges are sharp. And this is the way I've left it by the end of the next video for this. I've squared it up like this, and I've sanded off everything, and it's all glued together and everything. But I left the mallet, the profile, exactly the same. I'm not entirely sure what to do with it as far as getting rid of the corners. Is the corners a bad thing? Is it better to have it rounded off? I'm not sure yet. I'm going to try it out for a little bit. But there you see, I've took 2 of them down. It didn't take it all the way to nothing, but I sanded them down sufficiently that I don't have to worry about the glue having issues sticking to the wood. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to spread on some glue. I'm going to take 2 big clamps, and I'm going to squeeze it down nice and hard and let it dry overnight. And then in the next video I will get to the process of taking these, putting some dowels in them, and of course putting on the handle. This is a fair amount more work to do this, but it was kind of interesting putting this together. It didn't take long. Well, besides the overnight drying, it was probably about hour and a half day one, and probably a little bit less than that day 2. So it's not a hard project to put together. And I am, like I said, I am really curious to see if something that I'm going to be using to, well, it's a mallet. I'm going to be using it to bang things into other things, and hopefully we'll see how well this holds together. Again, this is partially out of my curiosity to see if this sort of thing held together with dowels is going to be something that's going to be solid. Anyway, I won't really know until a fair amount of time has gone by, and we shall see. And I decided trying to do that freehand was just silly, so I took a piece of scrap wood here, and this allowed me to square things up much more firmly. I am going to run this through the table saw and the band saw just to get. Whenever you do this, there's always a little bit of a shift in these, and it does end up being a little bit off. So I definitely want to make sure that I want to square it up as perfectly as possible for the final product. It ends up being less than a 1/16 of an inch I'm losing all around, but like I said, it's just something that needed to be, I want to be as close as possible so I didn't lose too much. So here we go. This is pretty much the end of the video now. I'm going to take these clamps off, and I'm going to show you the mallet at the end. This is give you a visual for kind of a spoiler, I suppose. I like how it looks, and it is really solid, which is kind of cool. And actually at the moment it's quite solid, but there's just no way this block would hold together as a mallet just with that glue. So I'm going to make it a lot more solid. Let's just put it that way. So this is one of the choices I had to make, and that is where to put the handle. I originally thought about doing it on the end like that, but I decided against that because doing it like this will also increase its rigidity quite a bit, and definitely the way I decided to go, because also the dowels then will pin across all the pieces and of course hold it all together. So here you go. This is the end product. I'll show you how it got here next week's video. Definitely leave comments, as I said. Let me know what you think, and if there's any other sort of dowel projects you're interested in, I'd also be interested in hearing about those, and we can possibly put something else together along these lines. So again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, and bye for now.